A good picture requires both a sharp focus and the correct exposure. The iPhone camera makes this easy. First of all, what happens if you just aim and shoot? The camera will guess which part of the scene you are interested in. It usually picks the middle of the frame. It will then autofocus on that area. The camera will also set the exposure using auto exposure. The result is usually a good picture, but not always. Here's a better way to focus, sometimes referred to as tap focus. Tap the screen on the subject you are most interested in. The focus box will appear wherever you tapped, and the camera will now focus on the contents of that box. Let's use these two Beanie Babies to demonstrate this. The colorful one is close to the camera, while the black and white one is further away. I tapped on the closer one. The focus box appears, and the camera quickly focused on its contents. Note sharp detail here, but fuzziness there. This time I tapped on the black and white one. The focus box moves to this new subject, and the camera focuses within it. This bird is now seen in sharp detail, while the other has become blurred. Here's a comparison of the two shots. Foreground sharp, with blur further away. While here, the background bird is sharp, and the foreground is blurred. In each case, the focus box indicates the area of focus. When you tap on the screen, the exposure slider appears alongside the focus box. It consists of a sun icon with a vertical line on either side. When you see it, just slide your finger up and down to adjust exposure. You don't need to drag on the slider itself. Anywhere on the screen will work just fine. The change you make will be reflected by the position of the sun. For example, here the sun is above the horizon, indicating that we have increased exposure. Auto exposure yields what it believes to be the correct exposure and places the sun exactly on the horizon. Just slide your finger up to increase exposure. Remember, you can do this anywhere on the screen. Slide your finger down to decrease exposure. Here's a comparison view. Correct exposure, overexposure, where we slid our finger up, note the high sun position, and underexposure, where we slid our finger down, note the low sun position. Autofocus and exposure will change often and quickly. They reset every time you take a picture or whenever you move the camera or something in your scene moves. While often helpful, this reset is sometimes undesirable. Focus and exposure are easily locked by a simple press and hold on the focus box. Simply tap the focus box again to unlock. Locking is indicated by the AE/AF lock appearing in a yellow box. You can now reframe however you like and take multiple shots with the same focus and exposure. And finally, here's a few tips to remember. It's almost always a good idea to tap focus on your subject. How do you check focus on the small iPhone screen? Zoom in. If the photo stays sharp, you are good. Swipe up and down to adjust exposure even when auto exposure and autofocus are locked. If you can't get good light, use a tripod. Use burst mode. Multiple shots give you a greater chance of getting at least one sharp image. And lastly, using a remote shutter will help eliminate camera shake.